Hey, today we're going to talk about a term that sounds fancier than it actually is. The term is rhetoric, and this is something that you have been participating in since the moment you learned how to speak. A lot of times a baby's first word is no. That is a form of rhetoric. So it's not something to be afraid of, and this term that we're going to keep using, this phrase, is rhetorical analysis, and that sounds very academic. In fact, we might say it's in academies, a language that we use to make ourselves sound smarter. But rhetoric really is just the means of persuasion. So anytime you have had an argument with somebody, you have been using rhetoric. Anytime you have written an argument essay or written an email to your teacher about why you are turning something in late, you are using rhetoric. And in this unit, we're going to be thinking about how to analyze, how to kind of pick apart another writer's use of rhetoric. And this way, we're going to find out how writers are manipulating us. They're manipulating our emotions and our sense of logic, and they are manipulating us into trusting their arguments. That's what rhetorical analysis is. So Aristotle, an ancient Greek philosopher, is kind of credited with the one that kind of started a more formal discussion of rhetoric. So he was the one who kind of said, this is what good rhetoric, or this is what good persuasive strategies look like. It's why a lot of the terms that we're going to be using when we study rhetoric are Greek. And his definition was basically that rhetoric is not a philosophical discussion. He was kind of setting himself up against Socratic seminars. You know, you've used those terms before, right? Where you kind of just like are throwing ideas into the air and you're hearing what other people have to say and you are willing to like change your mind as you go. Rhetoric is different. Rhetoric is like a practical debate, meaning that you are having this discussion knowing that you have kind of the solution. And it can be just a small solution to part of the problem, but you have a solution to offer. So it's a means for persuading a general audience using your knowledge and kind of the knowledge of the world to resolve a practical issue. And so in other words, it's persuasion. It's just how you persuade somebody. And in this class, I'm going to argue that everything is an argument. My setup behind me here, you can see like I've got my, wrong hand. There we go. I've got my rhinestone laser disc over here, starring Sylvester Stallone and Dolly Parton. I've got my cute little Wonder Woman and the Tempest little plushies. Like I like how it looks. It's aesthetic, meaning like it pleases me in the way that it looks, right? But there is also an argument going on back here. There's an argument that kids should like Bruce Springsteen. There is an argument that I'm like the fun teacher or the teacher with pop culture knowledge. That you know I am of a certain kind of I don't know, hipstery level. Ooh, I hate that. But yeah, that's kind of the argument I'm making back here. And that's kind of making me want to change my backdrop a little bit. And everything that you do is a kind of argument. Like I'm wearing this shirt for, this is the second day of school today. I'm wearing this shirt because this is a writer that I think is really important that not a lot of people read around here. She's a Black writer and she's a science fiction writer. And so I kind of am making the argument like, hey, this is somebody that is important that maybe we want to add to our class discussions, you know? And it's subtle, like mostly I just like the way it looks, but there is an argument being presented here. Maybe you woke up and you just like threw on whatever clothes were at the bottom of your closet that you've been wearing for the last week. That in itself is an argument. It's saying like, I'm casual, I don't care about appearances that much. I want you to kind of see me as somebody who is not like obsessed with fashion or whatever. There's all these arguments going on. So for this assignment, I want you to open a social media account. It could be, I was kind of assuming everybody has Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, something else. If you don't have social media, then borrow somebody else's social media for a second, somebody that you know well. And I want you to look at the last image that you posted and answer the questions in this assignment about that image. And you're going to try and discover what arguments you are making with an image.